Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Chilluminati podcast, episode 356. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mike Martin, joined by my own personal Kara and Clark, Jesse and Alex.
Oh, my God. Which one of us is Kara and which one of us is Clark?
Oh, obviously, I'm Supergirl.
You're Supergirl?
Yeah.
I feel like you are Supergirl, like, in a way.
I mean, like, yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't even have to really explain yourself.
I got, I want to believe in
true.
goodness, but I've got, like, a negative streak to me. You?
Yeah.
You're such a
I'm cornbread.
Boy Scout.
I'm cornbread.
Yeah.
I'm cornbread and chili beans.
Mm-hmm.
You're punk rock.
I'm punk rock. Yeah, I'm punk rock. I listen to POD, whatever you said. I listen to Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. I'm underground. I listen to the alt stations. I like Dave Matthews.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, you're huge in Dave Matthews and any toilet-related incidents in Chicago.
I listen to bands that nobody ever heard of before. Things like from the underground, like Linkin Park.
Yep.
I loved Linkin Park in high school. Welcome back to the show, everybody.
The way you said that almost felt like an insult. I love Linkin Park in high school.
Listen.
Well, yeah, because the whole point is people apparently people hate Linkin Park. Apparently, Linkin Park is not an enjoyed band nowadays.
No, they're just a little bit lame. They're just lame because they're popular. That's all.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they're way more popular than you maybe like
to imagine. Is that
to
why
imagine.
Nickelback is lame?
No,
yes, don't listen, Alex. That's exactly right. Nickelback is awesome, and they're only bad because they're popular and people are haters.
I think puddle of mud. Creed, rather.
Exactly,
Creed?
just like Creed and Tool, and they're all the same. Creed, Nickelback, and Tool are all the same, and anyone who says otherwise should leave a comment below. I'm not saying I'm instigating.
They're just weird because they're built off like being kind of artsy and different and like kind of
like
deep
us.
cut. No, well, we're actually unknown. We're actually like like a lesser known thing.
Like we're like Z level internet.
We're doing fine for three guys, right? But here's what I'm saying. Like all those bands, we knew all of them. We know for sure everybody listening to this knows all those bands. Those aren't underground bands. Those aren't alt bands. Those are mainstream bands.
Mm-hmm.
We that's our Spice Girls.
And we're gonna be mainstream one day too.
Dude, if we're mainstream one day, I will cry tears of joy. That is all I want to do is become mainstream.
Become mainstream once in your life.
I don't want to move on my morals at all, but magically I want my morals to become
mainstream.
That sends me to the mainstream.
That is the crux in which we sit.
That's why I'm Superman. Yeah.
That's why you're Superman. Exactly correct.
Because in real life, his mission is impossible. Yeah.
You see the good in everybody, and Jesse sees the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Mathis saw Supergirl last night, so I got
a couple quotes in my head.
He's got them loaded.
Right there.
He's got locked and loaded.
I enjoy it because next week most of the movie will be forgotten.
This is the one time Mathis. Yeah, this is the one time Mathis is going to think about Zarnia and what it's like on Zarnia and what those people were like.
I mean, it's like it's
the Seth Rogen alien was great. He was fun.
Yep, it's all right.
Liked him. Yeah,
it's like maybe a 7 at best. I don't know.
It's a fine film.
Exactly. It's not great. It's not bad. It's just a solid, good to average good kind of movie.
It's a real movie that did not change the world.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
But it's real. It's a real movie.
What we do at Patreon.
Hey.
Change the world.
There is so much work to be done, gentlemen, in our quest to change the world. And so anybody out there listening, if you're one of those people that listens to Chilluminati all the time, backwards and forwards, goes back, listens to the old stuff, comes back, goes backwards, does the backwards listen, then does the forwards listen. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Sure.
I don't know. You know how people do repeat listens to podcasts? I've had those phases in my life. If you're one of those people and you've never supported us financially before, consider heading over to patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod because that's our juice. That's what we're doing. It helps us stay kind of independent. You know, we do take ad money and, you know, there's all kinds of, things like that we support that keep us going as well. But when you go to Patreon, you get that without the ads. And it's, the real show for the people that really are just giving us the ability to exist without having to just completely sell out. You know what I mean?
We get to do a live show every year because of you guys.
Yes, it's really great. It's really fun. And we have good merch. We have good relationship with a good merch company. And we have all these great things, all because Patreon has helped us like be a real show. So thank you so much for doing it already. And if you haven't and you feel like you want to, give it a shot for a month or two. It's good stuff. It's fun. We got a whole other show over there, the minisodes, where you get like kind of current events. I've been reading a lot of
news. This is a good
listeners.
One tonight.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of listener stuff lately. You know, like there's all kinds of stuff that happens in the minisodes. We do all kinds of weirdness. Yeah,
clothes come off.
Yeah, it's a naked show. All the clothes are then keyed right back on using filters.
It's all CG. Like we're naked, but what you see is CG.
But we know. We know we're naked, but you guys, you won't see it that way, but we know we're naked.
Right. We see it.
It's just for us.
Anyway, patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod is the place to go for that sort of thing.
Now, are you ready?
I'm ready, dude.
All right. We're gonna jump right into the episode then, because I'm excited.
Full disclosure, I have no idea what the fuck's about to happen.
No, we're not. But I'm gonna ask you. Okay, before we jump into the episode, boys, when I say Project Bluebeam, what comes to mind, if anything?
Well, I think of Project Blue Book, and it makes me think,
not a bad connection in terms of what it has to do with.
It makes me think of aliens.
Yeah, I think of Project Blue Bunny, which is delicious ice cream.
Also, yeah, that's
is it called Project Blue Bunny?
Well, it's Blue Bunny, but like Project Blue Bunny is me going out to buy some. That's like a project I'm doing.
Blue Bunny's the ice cream, and they're like CD Projekt Bunny. Yeah. Like they make.
Today's topic, gentlemen, is Project Bluebeam. Something that has kind of come back into the cultural zeitgeist over the past, I'd say, 2 to 3 years now, especially within heavy conspiracy circles and very heavily in the UFO, UAP, alien circles. And we're going to start really kind of like, it's kind of wild to think about now, honestly, because for 3 weeks at the tail end of 2024, that's been 2 years now since this happened. The tail end of 2024, a huge chunk of this country ended up being 100% convinced that the government was hiding a secret fleet of mystery drones. And if we were, this
was crazy.
This is what kind of reignited Project Bluebeam. And honestly, there was a comment about a little over a year ago on Reddit that says, are you guys going to cover it? And ever since that time, I've had it written down. And today's the day we're covering it. Yeah, if you were online at all during that time, you kind of already know what I'm talking about. It started off in New Jersey. Some guy in Morris County looks up one night and there's a light moving over Picatinny Arsenal, which is an actual active U.S. Army base. Great start. And within a couple of weeks, obviously, it didn't end up just being New Jersey. It was New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, all of it. Thousands of reports of drones. People swearing up and down they're seeing drones the size of a car just sitting there hovering over reservoirs and power lines and military bases. A bunch of them were over Trump's golf course in Bedminster, to the point where the FAA straight up threw a no-fly restriction zone over the golf course, which, if the goal was to make people less suspicious, probably didn't do its job.
It felt unignorable at the time. Like the vibe, and this was not that long ago, but like, just in case you were like 12 years old at the time and 16 years old now, like whatever.
Okay.
Like,
it's only been 3 years. Fucking Christ, relax.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, just in case you came of age in that time.
Yeah.
It just felt very like, or you're listening to this in 10 years. I don't know. It just felt very much like real. Like it wasn't like it felt crackpot at first because it was coming from the crackpot people. Like when my dad says, "What's the deal with this clip?" It's usually like a triangle that is like rendered on a PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But this time it was like not my dad. It was like, there was like, I remember, wasn't this the same time when there was that like the crashed one at the base?
Yes, there was, and there was another one that got taken down somewhere. We never saw what happened to it.
It feels undisputably like something was legitimately happening. Unignorable.
Whatever it was, human or not, like it doesn't matter. Like the point isn't it was aliens. Something was going on.
Something was occurring. Yeah.
And the government, if you remember, the official government response to all of this was, and I'm like barely paraphrasing here, was just like, relax, nerds. Like everybody chill out. You got the FBI came out, Homeland Security, the FAA, the Pentagon, all four of them were putting out one joint statement together. And the whole takeaway was basically, it's either regular drones or it's hobby drones or it's police drones or it's planes or it's helicopters. And then my personal favorite, like it was just stars mistakenly reported as drones. That was another one where like,
this is
I'm
the,
sure
this is the Biden administration too, right?
Yes,
so this is like actual people maybe.
Well, it was end of 2024 into 2025 and then through 2025. So it was like into Trump's era
mix
as well.
Of both.
Yes.
Which
it was a mix of both.
It's weird that it was one of those times where everyone in power was like, it's nothing. Stop overreacting. Also, we don't know what it is. Like it was.
Also, we're shutting down the airspace around
we're creating
important
no-fly
things.
zones. But don't worry, it's nothing. And so when the government came out and said that, people did not take that well at all. There was a CBS News poll from right around then where something like it said 78% of people said, yeah, no, like the government is definitely hiding something. And like when it takes 4 separate federal agencies coming out holding hands to tell you that the thing in the sky is actually just Venus or whatever the fuck they're trying to tell you it is, I feel like you earn the right to be like, is it though?
Right.
Like, is it though? Because all 4 of you are coming out and being like, and if you remember too, like there was also a point where like they all came out with a separate statement first and a couple of them contradicted each other. And then they all came together and released one big one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say like, it's very similar to like any of these other like sort of like innocence shattering type events where like when JFK got shot, that like because it was so crazy and there's so much like different opinions about it, the actual reality of it starts to become like this huge thing when really like the real thing could be like quite small. We don't know like how much is a ripple.
Yeah,
it's really
and that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Like so this is all going on, right? And obviously the whole thing does what everything does now. Once it goes online, it fucking mutates and catches fire. And somewhere in those few days, one account posts a few words in all caps with no context that says, quote, "The drones are Project Bluebeam." People immediately think it's Charlie Kirk tweeting it because it's a Charlie Kirk fan account. 2 days after that post,
and as we know, Charlie Kirk ran all the Charlie Kirk fan accounts.
Obviously.
Right.
But 2 days later, that post had over 8 million views.
Is that the song's about?
We Are Charlie Kirk?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
It's about the bot accounts that are all actually him?
Yeah, exactly. They're all Charlie Kirk. But again, like people, that's another reason though I think it took kind of became viral is because people didn't realize it wasn't Charlie Kirk's account. And they just kind of like tweeted it out.
Crazy? Isn't that like an insane mistake that like totally like validates every criticism we have about social media?
It does, because like it doesn't even matter that it's not Charlie Kirk's account because the cat is out of the bag, and literally days later we see Roseanne Barr, noted sane woman and not at all insane, is now posting, quote, "Now you people see why I bring up Project Bluebeam every week on my show." Like immediately she's tweeting about it. Then obviously the most trustworthy source of all time, Alex Jones, then joins in calling the entire drone panic, quote, "the rollout of Project Bluebeam." And here's the thing, like for a chunk of the people watching this is actually the first time in their lives they've probably ever heard the words Project Bluebeam spoken at all. Like this is their introduction to something that is much older than what people think Project Bluebeam is. And you got
it's like a meme. So it was like a meme theory that got big for a minute. Also.
Well, yeah, we're going to go into the depth of it because a lot. Project Bluebeam has been around for decades. The conspiracy theory has been around for decades. It's gotten a resurgence because of the drones in 2024.
Yeah.
And like it sounds official. Like Project Bluebeam sounds like, I mean, like
it sounds like, exactly like Project Blue Book. Exactly.
MK Ultra. Fuck. To be fair, we've heard much weirder names for secret government projects on the show before. But Project Bluebeam was something well before it sort of reignited in 2024. And that's what this is about today. What is Project Bluebeam? And Project Bluebeam is a sort of prophecy. One dude wrote it down back in 1994.
Whoa. This isn't a government thing. This is just something some dude wrote down.
That's why I felt it was important we tackle it now because of its resurgence. People think it's a government. The conspiracies are convinced it's a government thing. Nobody does the research as to where it came from, but we're going to talk about all of it.
Can I ask you a question? Is Q responsible for this?
No, Q is not responsible.
I'm just saying. It's
pre-Q.
How do we know that?
Q from Star Trek, maybe.
I'm not talking about Star Trek Q. I'm talking about Q Anon. And if that guy is involved,
of MI6, James Bond's gadget man.
Right. That's who I was referring to.
Yeah.
No Q involved, but maybe now modern 2024 stuff, probably.
Maybe.
Like, they probably stuck to it in some way. No, Project Bluebeam is something one dude wrote down in 1994, and that dude was not a government worker, but a poet. A French-Canadian poet.
I knew you were going to say he's a fucking... I was literally going to make a crack about it just a second ago. I was going to be like, don't tell me a fucking writer made this up.
A French-Canadian poet named Sergei Monast, working out of a tiny little town up near the Vermont border, was cranking this stuff out on a fax machine newsletter.
Amazing.
Who was completely convinced at the time that NASA was just about ready to fake the second coming of Jesus Christ. And I do not mean that metaphorically.
You mean like wag the dog, but like a false flag, Jesus Christ?
A false flag, Jesus.
Wait a minute. Wait, is that true? Is this? Hold on. Hold on. This is my favorite one so far. This is the best conspiracy.
So if there's stolen valor, is this like stolen glory?
Religion. But think about, I'm just like, even what you people believe this is real because they've lost with the origin. They've twisted Bluebeam into being a fake alien invasion by the government. That's part of the Bluebeam, like.
But originally, it's an alien plot.
Was a beam of light.
Alien plot.
And Jesus would ascend, except government psyop.
Yes, because we're gonna
false
talk about
flag
modern
Jesus.
Bluebeam. We're going to talk a little bit more about, so we'll get into it, but like a quick pitch is, I'm talking hologram of Jesus.
Like when Tupac was on stage?
Bro,
Will.i.am?
Hold that thought. I wrote
like
Tupac
the Michael Jackson hologram?
I'm not kidding you. I'm not
the Gorillas?
Hatsune Miku?
Hold it. You're getting
every VTuber in concert ever is the progenitor of Jesus returning in hologram form.
You are unfortunately like really on point, Jesse and Alex. Okay.
Tell me the hologram guy's on the Epstein list.
So, we're talking hologram of Jesus, the size of the entire sky, followed by God's actual voice.
Can I wait? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You said a hologram Jesus the size of the actual sky?
Yeah, the whole sky is going to take up literally as far as your eyes can see.
That's too much. It's too much Jesus. He would distort over time.
Don't worry about
if it's possible. That's too much Jesus.
Because on top of that,
it's too showy. Jesus would never do that.
Anyone.
They're then going to beam God's actual voice directly into the
What do you mean God's actual voice?
Well, God's fake actual voice.
Okay, all right. I was about to say, like,
James Earl Jones.
Huge setup, but it's like the real God's there, though, dude.
No, like you as the person experiencing. You as the person experiencing Project Bluebeam would believe it's God's actual voice being beamed into your brain. And the whole light show is built to crash every single religion on Earth the exact same second and hand whatever's left over to the Antichrist. And then 2 years after he finishes...
Wait. The real Antichrist?
We'll get into it.
Well, hold on. Hold on.
This is my hook.
Hold on,
to get you invested, dude.
Hold on.
I can't spoil everything.
This is like
right now.
what if
the diabolical plan, the Antichrist plan, is to use the government to create a fake Jesus that's sky size. Use the voice of God to be like, "Hey, I'm here to crash all religions," and the assumption is,
"Hail the Antichrist."
Yeah, the assumption is all the other religions that don't give a shit about Jesus would be like, crash. "Oh, they got us. They got us, dude."
They were the ones that were right. Yeah.
Buddha's here. He said he's not real.
The vast majority of the rest of the world that does not believe in Christianity would be like, "You know what? We were wrong. My bad."
Bro, we're on page 2 of my script. Please, we'll get there. I promise you. You are leaping ahead, and I appreciate how excited you are.
You're the one who came up with this
Egyptians were
topic.
close, but no cigar.
So they're going to hand whatever's left over to the Antichrist. So after Sergey wrote this all down, 2 years after he finishes writing all of this,
Antichrist. Why am I picturing a dude with just like a bulletproof vest on? Like, you know what I mean? Like a fucking Uncharted villain. Why is that the Antichrist?
So here's the weird thing. And after 2 years after he finishes writing all of this down, Sergey Monast goes down on the floor of his own house and dies in front of his partner of a heart attack at 51 years old. And depending entirely on who you ask, that is either the least suspicious thing that has ever happened to this guy or the most suspicious thing that's ever happened to this guy.
Can I ask you a question about Sergey Monast?
Yeah.
Was he like a big, unhealthy fat guy?
We'll get into it, Alex. We'll get into
Why did you
all of it.
assume I was the one who was throwing us off there? You were about to say Jesse. I didn't derail.
No. We'll get into it. We'll get into it. And I was about to say, Jesse, what are you talking about? So that is the show tonight. We're going to walk through what this thing actually claims step by step, because I promise you the real version is even dumber than what I just pitched you and so much better than everything else. And we're going to figure out where a poet in the middle of rural Quebec even gets an idea like this. And that trail runs straight through an old Navy conspiracy crank, a genuinely weird and awful, nasty piece of anti-Semitic forgery, and a Star Trek movie that never even got made. And I swear to God, a Ronald Reagan speech at the United Nations. All of these things, as
God is going to be the size of the actual sky.
Oh my God. So before we go dig up the guy who cooked this whole thing up, we've got to get on the same page of what Project Bluebeam even means. And honestly, it's a little trickier than like it kind of seems, because there are kind of two versions of this thing out there in the public. There's the one living in people's heads right now, the one from 2024, 2025 into 2026, and the one that's underneath every drone video of every UFO clip that you've seen online. Like, that's the one we know. But then there's the original one. That's the one that was actually written down back in 94. They are not the same theory anymore. They have so disparately separated that we need to cover them both. So let's start with the one you've all run into.
Like a Kelvin verse?
Yeah, like kind of a Kelvin-verse-esque, like Star Trek kind of thing, for sure.
So a lot of lens flare.
I can work with that.
A lot of lens flare.
As a millennial, I can work with that.
Yeah, we can do it. So modern Bluebeam, if you boil down what people actually mean today when they say those two words, the core of it is the government or global elite or NASA, UN, whatever, pick whichever governmental villain you want, is getting ready to fake a gigantic alien invasion. That's the center of it now. The claim is that they've got the tech to fill the sky with a whole fake alien invasion fleet, ships and lights, craft, kind of like full-on Independence Day production. Watchmen, Watchmen is another good example. But obviously not one of it, or a bit of it, is real. It'll all be staged. And the reason they'd pull a stunt that big is obviously the oldest conspiracy trick there is. You give all of humanity one giant shared enemy from outer space, and suddenly every country that was at each other's throats goes, oh, whoa, okay, hold on, we got to drop the beef and stick together. This is
just the plot of The Watchmen.
Yeah.
The Watchmen came out like not that much before this.
No. Yeah. But this is the modern day one. So, and basically stick together is basically a really convenient thing that means hand your national sovereignty over to one single world government that promises to keep you safe from the aliens that were never there to begin with.
Can I take a guess what color the dude is?
Yes.
Is it white?
You would be correct.
Yeah, I know.
Of course.
Yeah.
Manufactured monster meets manufactured hero. Extremely cliche conspiracy theory format, in my opinion. And once you've got that lens clipped onto your goddamn eyeballs, a believer who believes this is actually happening starts spotting tests of the technology fucking everywhere. This is the part that makes the modern version really sticky, in my opinion.
So it's like Mysterio vibes?
Little Mysterio vibes. Yeah, like it's all these things. Like, yeah.
Like the recent Mysterio, you know what I'm talking about?
Recent Mysterio is a good example from No Way Home. Or Far From Home.
Jake Gyllenhaal Mysterio with
Jake Gyllenhaal.
With his like hologram drone projection machine.
Spoilers.
But like anybody who's buying into this, like any weird thing in the sky suddenly becomes evidence. The New Jersey drones were a test run. Those UFO videos the Navy pilots keep putting out, priming us. You ever watch one of those drone light shows where they fly 1,000 little drones in formation to build a giant glowing picture over a stadium? To a blue beam believer, that's them rehearsing right out in the open, right in front of your face.
Today it's Skeletor. Tomorrow, it's God taking up the entire actual sky.
Yeah. Also, to Jesse's point, dead musicians turning up as holograms at concerts, Tupac at Coachella, that whole shit, all rehearsal. The 3D billboards over in Tokyo where a giant cat leans out over the street, getting the tech ready. Anything that involves light, anything anybody's ever seen up in the sky, all of it gets folded right in to modern Project Bluebeam. And what honestly makes it kind of clever, honestly cleverer than the original Bluebeam conspiracy in one specific way is, you know how over the last few years, the government has actually, for real, no conspiracy required, started admitting that UAPs are a real thing they can't explain. Pentagon putting out the footage, congressional hearings, guys sitting there under oath going, yeah, there's stuff flying around. We genuinely don't know what it is. For most people, that's the government finally leveling with us. But to a Bluebeam believer, that is the most suspicious thing.
Phase one.
That could be possibly happening because in their read of this whole thing, the government isn't coming clean at all. They're softening you up. It's slowly, deliberately getting you comfortable with the idea of aliens so that when the big fake show finally kicks off, you don't even flinch. You've been primed for it your whole life, which means the more the government admits about UFOs, the more convinced these people get they're not real. There is no piece of news that can talk these people back out of it. And honestly, it's it's a clever, it's like Ouroboros. It's like an engine that never finds an end because everything that happens gets cranked right in there and makes them believe even more that Project Bluebeam is happening.
It's really kind of just like Rene Descartes in a way. Right? Is that the right guy?
What? I think I know what you're talking about.
Is it a dream, right? How do we know it's not a dream all the time? Everything that you see, you're just like, oh, it's just an illusion. It's
everything's not believable.
Yeah, it's the same thing with AI where almost it feels sometimes like AI is being pushed on us so that we can't stay tethered to reality. It feels like by giving people the plausible deniability to say that everything is AI, it lets them sort of
live in their own world, build their own
even though you can't really ever reach your fake world in your brain, it makes it as real as any other world.
Yeah. And to that point, the thing propping all of this up, and I think the reason it feels believable right now in a way it maybe didn't 20 years ago, is that we are all living in the fucking deep fake era. We are watching in real time AI get good enough to put a video out of anybody saying anything. I mean,
spaghetti's starting to look real good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've all seen the fucking AI video of Stephen Hawking participating in the X Games. Yeah. Shit, you know what I mean? Shit's crazy. Yeah. We've all heard about the scam calls using a cloned voice of somebody's actual grandkid, which is fucking crazy now. So the ground is already fertile for this kind of thing. And once you know for a fact they can fake a phone call from the fucking president, the jump to they could fake something in the sky doesn't really feel like a jump at all anymore.
It feels like there's a real conspiracy feeling. There's a real paranoia that this type of thinking, as an educated person who reads the news and reads publications, there's something to this fear. Right. I don't think the government is going to succeed at convincing us aliens are invading, but I do think doctored news footage is probably in our future. Right. We're going to start getting a lot more shit like that the CIA makes. Right.
That's yeah. I mean,
so there is a conspiracy. There is something to that. But I do think there's another element of this that feels kind of similar to the idea that a photograph can steal your soul or something. There's some kind of technology fear here. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
I agree. I see exactly what you're saying. And I agree. And while you seeing used to be believing, now nobody can really be totally sure. And Bluebeam lives right down that crack. It lives right there. There's even
he's right down that crack.
Right in that, deep in the crack, consensually.
It's moist in there.
It's very moist and kind of a little sticky.
Bluebeam.
there's even a real piece of tech that kind of keeps getting dragged into the voices in your head part of this, something they call the Frey effect, or voice to the skull, where microwaves can make a person hear a sound inside their own head with no speaker anywhere. Like, that's a real piece of technology. It's small scale military research.
Isn't that also the Havana?
Yeah, we now know the Havana syndrome's real, the microwavable weapons of like burning somebody through walls. Like this thing I'm mentioning is small scale, as far as we know, small scale military tech, like research. But that's enough for a fucking believer. That's step 3 right there, of beaming messages into your head. So that's the shape of it right now, the modern belief. A fake alien invasion that's staged in a world that already can't trust anything, previewed by every drone and UFO hologram you've ever seen. Like, everything, I just walked you through: the aliens, the invasions, the deep fakes, the big fake war, all that shit. Like, all that stuff, that's original. That wasn't part of the, like, blue beam stuff, like the way that he's posing it now. Notice how holographic Jesus isn't mentioned in any of the modern blue beam theory. It is
let down, to be honest.
I know, it's all one world government takeover under the guise of a fake alien invasion. It's basically that simple if you boil it down, but for nefarious purposes and stuff.
The crazy thing about it to me so far is like, and I'm maybe you're going to get into this, but it doesn't seem like a lot of thought is being given to like the creative element that this would require, at least like in terms of like the theory, like to make a believable alien invader, and like what it would take to convince people that aliens are actually invading, like from like a cinematic perspective.
Well, they'll say like,
it seems so silly as a plan.
Aliens will land, but it won't be actually aliens. It'll be government like drones or like.
Sure. I think what Alex is trying to say is, okay, they've landed. Step 2,
who are
is essentially non-existent.
Yeah, like who are they? Where are they from? What is their language?
Well, so like the plan, that's the other part of Bluebeam, is they wouldn't land in peace. They're going to invade. So the government would attack its own cities, kill its people, send the world into chaos.
Sure.
So the government could then come in and rescue them.
Laser beams?
Drones. Oh yeah, microwave weapons. Like, again, all this tech that is being researched. Not like bullets, but like microwave technology.
But not
and
like
that kind of shit.
not like fake alien spacecraft flying around and squid monsters coming after people.
I don't think it'd be squid monsters. I think drone-like ships would be flying around and pretending to be aliens.
My point being, that part of this is the part that I feel like what it would require to convince everyone that what they're seeing is not just, you know, some high level mercenary tech or something like that.
Right.
Like, it's funny to me that this would be the plan. Like, the amount of like, it takes like $2 billion to make like a movie franchise. Like, it's just funny that like they would make something so creatively taxing as their plan.
It's the thing is, it's like, it's vague enough that it can fit everything. Like, it's non-specific on purpose so that everything kind of fits the mold. It's a date in the future that this is going to happen, which leaves infinite time for research and magical technology to start popping up and filling in these holes. Like, and I know we're going to get, much like we did with like the fake moon landing episode, you're going to get people who are super mad. For all those listening, you're fucking stupid. You're a goddamn idiot. Like we're going to go back, like blue. If you're a blue beam believer, I'm sorry.
Those listening.
No, for all those who are getting mad.
What's the matter with you?
For those who are getting mad that I'm saying Project Bluebeam isn't real, you're all dumb. Do your research, do your reading, because Bluebeam, again, that's the modern interpretation. But let's
real to
rewind
them.
It damn right. That's just like Santa Claus is real to your children.
It's like the Snyderverse is still real somewhere.
Somewhere the Snyderverse is
WB's coming. They got bought and they're bringing it back. He's coming back.
He had to snap his neck. He couldn't cover his eyes with his hand.
He's coming back, and you all just can't handle the truth of it.
The deals are being made with all the actors.
So, like, the thing with Bluebeam, and if any of these people who believe it would like look a little deeper, Bluebeam was never really about aliens at all. Aliens were part of it, but it was actually all about God. It was a Christian apocalypse written by a deeply Christian man, and it is so much more specific and strange than like the modern day, like poor copy of it, like the like lamer version of it. And so let's go through it. And it's actually a 4-step process Exactly. We're going to go through it exactly the way Sergei Monast wrote them down. So
this is the facts. This is the OG fax machine version.
1994 version of how this all went down. Obviously, the
point of order. Could the government not have co-opted this, and you are a willing or unwilling stooge of the state, and by saying this information, you are propagating a lie that will allow them to get this alien invasion going because you're saying it's a religious thing, not what it really is?
Are you reading one of the comments from the angry Project Bluebeam believers?
I'm just saying.
Jesse's figured us out. We got to abort. Time to go. He's figured it out. Gotta go. It's like, yeah, of course, anything and everything fits in. And Q was actually the head of it. Like, you can squeeze fucking.
Now you know how I feel when you guys do alien episodes. There's no talk. You can't talk.
I'm the time slice guy. You can't talk to me about aliens.
And I follow the paperwork.
I can't even talk to you about the time slices, and I was here for it.
No, that's why I'm crazy. That's why I'm an insane person, Jesse, because I try to, as best I can, follow the paperwork. And the paperwork for this goes, you could follow it right back to the origin point. Like, this is like not a difficult thing to, it's difficult in that there's no main source. There's no like book written or like any of this. You have to like disparately put this shit together from the pieces that are out there.
That's
and then
they don't want you to know, bro.
Exactly. So I'm here to inform
actually
you.
Probably yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. So the other part I want to just lay out before we jump into the 4 steps very quickly is that the other thing is Monast didn't write down any of this like in vague terms. Like, this man wrote out like a project manager 4-step in order detailed like step-by-step guide as to how this is going to happen. So even more so that the modern day made this all vague is ridiculous. The goal at the end for all this 4 steps never changes either. It's always the same thing. One government, one religion for the entire planet with the Antichrist sitting right at the top of it. That's the whole ball game for the actual Project Bluebeam.
A real biblical Antichrist.
We're going to get into it. So step 1 of all of this, Monast calls this the breakdown of all archaeological knowledge, which, I mean, on paper sounds boring, I guess, but like, it is insane. The idea is all over the world at very specific chosen spots, NASA and the powers behind it are going to set off artificial earthquakes, man-made quakes on purpose in very specific locations. And why would you do that, you ask? Because those earthquakes will, quote unquote, uncover things, new discoveries, ancient artifacts, some buried documents, maybe. Our archaeological finds that just so happen to prove that every major religion on earth has had the story wrong this entire time, that your scripture was misunderstood, and that the priests and the imams and everybody in between have been misreading it for centuries. But I mention imams specifically because the targets here are specific. It's Christians and Muslims first and foremost. That's the whole design. What'd you say, Alex?
I don't remember.
That's fine.
What did I just?
I don't know. I don't know what you said. It seems like you asked a question, but we can continue. So the plan is you shake something loose out of the ground and you put it on every news channel on the planet at once, just like Disclosure Day by Steven Spielberg. And the message is, well, would you look at that? Turns out you've all been praying wrong for 2,000 years. Wrong praying. The point at this stage isn't to convert anybody yet, though. The point is just to crack the foundation, to get billions of people to quietly question if any of it is real.
Right. Okay. Now I remember what I was going to ask about earthquakes. It's like the earthquakes occur in targeted places around the earth, which then like shifts some rocks around and books fall out.
Yeah, like the artifacts and underground cities. Like, and stuff.
Another wing of the library was
planted there by the government over time, of course.
Okay.
So because a person it's like they want to get them to question it. They don't want it's going to be slow. And because a person who suddenly isn't sure what they believe anymore is a person doesn't believe anymore, then they become a person you can hand a brand new thing to believe. And handing that new thing is step 2. Step 2 is a big one. Step 2, Monast's own name for this one is the Big Space Show in the Sky. Very, very original name.
The actual sky.
The actual sky. And this is the part, obviously, everybody kind of remembers and kind of latches onto. This is what I said earlier. This is the holographic Jesus part. And let's get into actually how this works, because it's kind of incredible. So basically what he says is space-based satellites packed with lasers are going to project three-dimensional images up into the sky, into like just open actual air right over your head everywhere on Earth at the same time. And Manast doesn't leave it at, and then magic happens. He actually gives you a mechanism. He says there's a layer of the upper atmosphere about 60 miles up that's full of sodium, and they turn that layer of sodium into the movie screen to create a planet-sized, think of it like a drive-in screen.
So not only is the plan that we're going to make a giant Jesus the size of the actual sky,
yeah,
but also part of this plan is hinged on the fact that we don't understand anything about the Earth's atmosphere, and that there's actually a layer of sodium up there that nobody's talked about or known about until
they know about it, but they keep it shh.
Oh, they've been hanging back.
Yeah, because they're going to use it as the movie.
They haven't been talking about the sodium because they were like, "Oh, we're going to use that as our projector."
For the record, there is a layer of sodium in the Earth's atmosphere. However, that layer is almost, it's 60 some miles up.
Okay, so he was right.
So would we see any of that? Would we see Sky Jesus?
It'd be the size of the sky. So yeah.
Clouds would be in the way.
A solid.
We'll wait for a clear day.
A solid layer of sodium everywhere.
Thick? It has a thick layer?
It says that there's a permanent global layer of free sodium atoms. I mean, it's not like, salt's in the air.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I didn't research to see if there was sodium in our atmosphere. That is not part of the research process for me.
Okay. So at least it's something that exists.
Okay. Yeah. Now the next part, I guess, I don't know if you want to call it clever. It won't end up being one image for everybody. The projections will be regional. So if you're standing in a Christian country and you look up, bam, Jesus. Muslim country and you look up, hey, look, it's Muhammad. Hindus, you get Krishna.
First off, that's how you know this dude is not.
How are you going to tell the difference between who they are? Like, is he going to be like, hey, what's up? It's me, Jesus. Hey, baby, it's me, Muhammad. Hey.
No, I will say, currently, there's a tech they're using in sports where if the camera's pointed at an area of the like arena or field or pitch or whatever,
right,
the signage will change based on the region you're at.
Yeah, ads.
That's way easier than
it's
well, I'm just look, step one, baby. That's step one.
It's the beginning
Next
of Project
Bluebeam. Is that Jesus or is that Shiva?
First of all, if you drew Jesus and you drew Muhammad, which you're not supposed to do, right? Like if you cast those people and then you just like projected them into the sky, would they have to introduce themselves?
That's what I'm saying.
Is there a look? Is there a look for those guys that we all
Obi-Wan,
know?
Obi-Wan Jesus show up?
like that's.
I imagine yes. Like I imagine that's how it would go. I imagine this guy probably believes Jesus
English
was white
to everyone.
I got you an answer for that actually. So obviously, everyone's going to see, depending on where you live, you're going to get your own version of your guy coming back full color. Your guy coming back. He's going to be perfect, lifelike, 3-dimensional, and with a voice speaking every language on the planet at once.
Vibrating into our own skulls based on what language we speak?
No, just speaking every language at once.
Just out of speakers.
Yeah. Just or through, I don't know. Anyway.
Like at the airport.
Sodium resonance.
When it's like it said in English and then it said in Spanish.
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah. It's the same message through the... And Manast swears that even the smartest, most skeptical people alive will fall for it. Even the ones who absolutely should know better. You're all going to fall for it. And then, once the whole planet is on its knees, crying and praising their separate gods, like, Buddha, Jesus, Boozes is any phrase like a frat house god. Basically, once that happens, all of them, each individual figure will begin to slide and move, and then they will all slide and merge into one individual figure.
So whoa, stop. All right, hold on.
Yeah, no problem. I got you.
Only because you mentioned this earlier, and I have to bring it back.
I might have you, I might not.
This is literally Star Trek V. This is literally when they go and he's like, perhaps this would better suit your expectations. And then he just becomes every deity ever.
Yeah.
Is anyone on Earth going to ask, what does Jesus need with the drone show?
Doesn't that come out before? Didn't that also come out before 1994?
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yes.
We're going to get to it because their Star Trek is involved in all of this.
So in America, Jesus is going to be like a white dude?
Yeah. I imagine yes.
And in Spanish, in Mexico, it's going to be like para su seguridad.
Yes, okay. Exactly. Yeah. And then they all merge. And then it'll just be one single glowing God with one face for the entire world.
Literally Star Trek V.
And that guy is the Antichrist.
Literally Star Trek V.
That's the reveal.
That guy is the Antichrist?
That guy will be the Antichrist.
Literally, the real Antichrist.
Literally Star Trek V.
So there's an occult aspect of the government then?
Yes. And
there's like a star child also.
The point is
like a moon child.
The one God, one face dude who merges together is supposed to show up and be like, all your old religions, they were all pointing at me the whole time. You didn't realize it. And now I'm here in person.
Idiots.
So let's get everybody in line.
And now,
baby.
Doctor, all of Earth will bow before the Master.
Bring your ship into orbit. I must escape.
Literally,
I must escape.
Is it the actual Antichrist?
The holograms become a hologram Antichrist.
A real guy that's been working with the government who is
this is all holographic projections. This is all holographic projections.
Okay, so it is part of the real Antichrist, though.
The Antichrist part is part of the plot of the show.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes,
I see.
So that brings us to step 3. Manast says that at the same time all of this is happening in the sky, they're also broadcasting a bunch of low frequency radio waves. The ELF, VLF, and LF stuff, if you want the actual acronyms for it. And these waves are specifically tuned so that they reach a person from inside their own skull.
These are the microwaves.
This is exactly that. The voice moves from external, coming from the projection. After it merges, becomes the Antichrist, the voice becomes internal. From what feels
like, just kidding.
The idea is supposed to make it feel like it's coming from your own soul, and every person on Earth all at once, now dead certain that their God is speaking straight to them as the Antichrist one-on-one from the inside.
But most religions
do they know he's
Earth
the Antichrist?
Don't believe in the Antichrist. This would mean nothing.
Do they know
to them.
he's the Antichrist?
Well, no, because
they know he's a villain.
No. See, Jesse, you're forgetting. Everybody's belief in their religion is shattered at this point. The only thing they believe is being projected to them. Now, this is under the understanding that everybody now believes what they're seeing.
Not even a Christ
even the
anymore.
most skeptical and smart person is going to fall for this. Step 1 was crack the foundation. Step 2 was eliminate their beliefs. Step 3, now which we're on, is to round them all up and make them completely subservient here. Sure. You can't think logically. This is not a logical thing. You got to let it go. So the other thing is, like, these voices will in your head will also be personalized. He says these satellite signals are getting fed by computers that already hold gigantic files on every single living human on Earth. So the voice in your head knows you. It knows your name, fears, it knows your dead relative, the exact thing.
There's no physical way that all 7 billion people could get their own personal message.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
AI, baby.
No way.
That's why they have the data centers. Project Global.
Okay, but even if they had 7 billion data centers worth of people,
details aren't important.
It doesn't, like, the logistics of it. There is no computer. There is no
AI.
Yep, that's it. We're there.
AI,
Quantum
sorry.
computers.
AI, dude. AI, dude. Sorry.
Yeah,
AI. Sorry. Everything's real.
The idea is, A custom-built God, one per person, whispering to you from inside your own head about your own private information.
This is literally the plot of Marvel.
It's a lot of plot.
Judgment Day.
It's almost like this guy was a writer of some kind.
Dude, I'm gonna tombstone this dude. This is crazy.
So, and to prove this is possible, Manast reaches out and grabs a real person, an actual U.S. Army lieutenant colonel who wrote a paper on psychological warfare, and quotes him more or less saying that if you can feed artificial thoughts into people's mind by satellite, then mind controlling the entire planet is now on the table. And Manast reads that and goes, see?
Mind controlling
the entire planet. We've already read so many times where like MK Ultra is the government trying to figure out mind control. Just because the government is interested in trying to figure something out doesn't mean they fucking succeed in figuring out what it is they're interested in doing. But for Manast, that's it. That's the evidence right there. They told us right there. They said, like, we walked through so many different projects in World War II where they tried a bunch of different ways to like use animals and stuff, and that shit doesn't work. Like,
the craziest one was the one where they put the like bats that eventually catch on fire.
Yeah. It's like they try. Like, once you realize that, anything is possible, right?
So funny. It's just like throwing shit at the wall, right? It's like 99 times you nothing happens, but eventually something sticks to the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And we'll get, again, that's also something you hold on to with this guy in particular. So we go to step 4 now. This is the one that Manast calls the universal supernatural manifestation done by electronic means. And he basically breaks this into 3 different plays that they can run depending on who still need to break. Step 4 is basically, if there are any stubborn holdouts, this will be the end of it. The first play that gets put on somewhere in the world is the fake alien invasion. And like, again, this is the only part that the modern version has grabbed onto. But for Manast, it was only one of the 3 possible things that could be playing on Earth to convince stubborn holdouts in part 4.
Okay, so the God is real, but aliens are invading.
Both are real. Yeah. God is real. Aliens are real.
And by this time, do we know that the big voice is the Antichrist yet?
No. You all think it's a God. You're like an individual God in your head.
Yes.
They basically make it look like an off-world invasion is about to come down on every major city on Earth at once. The whole thing that we talked about in the modern day thing with the lights, the ships, all that shit, completely staged. And the purpose of it is to panic every major nation into firing off its nuclear weapons at an enemy that was never actually there. Get the whole world to empty their arsenal at ghosts. That's like another way to get them to like de-arm.
So this is basically like a plot that the Ewoks would use to get out of like a scrape with some stormtroopers, except on a global scale.
On a global scale. Then,
they've used up all their bullets.
The second show that'll happen is aimed at Christians specifically. They're going to fake the rapture. You let believers think this is finally it. You know, this is the moment they've been waiting for their whole lives. And then a nice
hard thing to fake.
Well, yeah, but then a nice friendly alien civilization comes gliding down out of the sky to lovingly rescue humanity from all the demonic horror that's suddenly kicking off down there. So you go up willingly and you walk right onto the other ships, thanking them, which are all government plants that are not real. Then play 3 is the strangest one, but it's the one that kind of ties it all together. Manast says the same wave technology lets these forces travel through wires, basically fiber optic cables, through your phone line, through the power grid, and into every single piece of electronics in your home. And he specifically claims there are already chips in place to make it happen. So now it's not just the sky and in your skull, but now also all your technology is going to be completely captured by this whole thing, so that you're going to end up having voices coming out of your walls, out of appliances, and supernatural phenomenon will happen within your home. So even if you don't believe that any of this is real, you will not be able to deny that your house has supernatural phenomenon coming through it, and God is speaking through you, through your walls and stuff.
He was like, I'm about to blow somebody's mind with this theory.
And unfortunately, he did. He blew a lot of people's minds with this thing. And Manast has a name for this whole crescendo too. He calls it the Night of 1,000 Stars. That's on the 3. How dare you?
Because they're drones?
Because it's all fake alien invasion
because it's
stuff.
gonna be dancing and singing and acting.
Night of 1,000 Stars.
You're gonna see all these comedians get together and like people you haven't seen
charity.
for a while. It's gonna be great.
A dam collapsed or something, and we're raising money.
Well, in this, unfortunately, not in this version of the Night of 1,000 Stars. Basically, the plan for this is when it's all finally over, the way he talks about it, he says the entire population of Earth at this point will be so scared and worn down and desperate for somebody to just make it stop that they'll take the new Messiah and the new world order and they'll hand over every last bit of freedom they've got happily, gratefully, just to feel safe and make this insanity stop again. That's the plan. Start to finish. That's the actual original Project Bluebeam. Yes, Alex in the back.
Yeah. Oh, okay. When is the reveal that it's the Antichrist?
Oh, that's just for the government, I guess. He calls it the Antichrist. That's I would love to sit here and tell you.
There is no reveal. There is no Denu. Like, it doesn't, like,
they're just the writers, like, actually, that guy's the Antichrist, but they don't know it.
They don't know that.
Yeah. They think he's God, the end.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
But he's actually
but really he's the Antichrist, but no one knows that. So, but I do.
But it's not a true story. It's just a made up story.
I'm gonna blow your mind. None of this is true.
What?
But there's secret elements.
This is the problem. This is why conspiracy theories get more and more vague, because the more specific they get, the more questions show up that don't make any sense. I feel like
it's a pretty core question. Like, okay. Maybe I'm just a Marvel Cinematic Universe junkie now. But when you bring up the plot thread that the guy who is the voice of God in everybody's head is actually more of a evil figure, more like an Antichrist type figure, you think that's going to come back later, but actually that's just a piece of information for the audience outside of the story.
Yes,
that
the characters, don't know that. But anyone watching the story is aware that that's the Antichrist.
That's for us to judge the people that this happens to.
Right. So, like, it's the Antichrist is more of Manast's label for what this thing is, rather than the actual literal version of the Antichrist.
So he literally made up a situation and then was like, those fools never realized that, in fact, they were in the pocket of the Antichrist.
Correct. So
those fools, those fucking fools.
Like, after listening to that, I hope your question is, how does a fucking poet fucking write all this down and make a step-by-step screenplay for faking the fucking apocalypse?
As somebody who smokes weed all the time and stays up late, I know exactly how he wrote it down. I want to know why everybody went, I like that.
Well,
yeah.
The answer is he didn't invent this. Not really.
Because it was invented in 1989 in the movie Star Trek V.
Final Frontier. And Alan Moore's The Watchmen.
Well, what Manast actually did was he took three completely different ideas from three completely different places and then haphazardly welded them together into this one machine. And we're going to go and lay out the three pieces separately because he got the ending from his church. He got the villains from the old Navy officer, and he got the special effects from Star Trek, Jesse. I wasn't kidding you. So let's go one at a time. First piece, the religion. Manast grew up in mid-century Quebec, which, if you don't already know, was about as intensely wall-to-wall Catholic as anywhere in North America has ever been, which I didn't know about Quebec. And I don't, like, apparently, like, this is not just, like, soft, it's, like, hardcore religious out that way. A whole culture is, like,
look at all them choices.
Yeah, apparently there's a whole culture out there that's just soaked in end times theology with the book of Revelations, the coming of the Antichrist, the works. So the entire back half of Bluebeam, the one world false religion and all that stuff, is coming out from that aspect. It's basically from his upbringing. That's the bone standard Catholic apocalyptic dread.
Watch out for the Antichrist is a big concern for him in his life.
Yeah, agree, exactly. And he had a specific hero here, a guy almost nobody had heard of, a Quebec essayist named René Bergeron. Way back in 1941, Bergeron wrote a book called The Mystical Body of the Antichrist. And that book is basically the theological engine for everything Manast would go on to believe. The idea that there's this vast, secret, coordinated force that's working here on Earth that's like building an anti-church and all that stuff and greasing the rails for like an Antichrist takeover. Manast, that came from that guy, and Manast loved this book so much that decades later.
Is it a novel? Is it what is it?
It's like a book written by this guy, Bergeron.
Like a story?
No, like
he's
an essayist writing about the theological stuff of this. It's more of like a research look at all this kind of thing.
Okay.
But he loved it so much that decades later in 1993, right before he goes full Project Bluebeam, he actually personally reprints it and writes his own introduction for this book. So like, this is not a guess as to where this fucking thing came from. We have direct threaded evidence to where his like Antichrist storyline comes straight up. He straight up tells us who his teacher was. Bergeron handed him the ending of this whole thing. And the what are we even scared of? Like, this is all from him. Piece 2 is the villains. Because like, obviously the Antichrist is a great villain. Don't get me wrong. Fantastic villain.
Huge villain. One of the best.
But like, Antichrist needs some henchmen, right? Somebody's got to actually be down here doing the work, building the anti-church and pulling the levers to run this whole thing. And for that, Monast had a second hero. And this one's guy is a guy named William Guy Carr. So Carr is a weird character in his own. He's British born, Canadian Navy, real guy, real career, checked, served on submarines in the First World War, comes back and serves again in the Second World War, retires as a commander. Like legitimate military man. And then he retires and he goes straight down to the rabbit hole and he starts cranking out books. The big one is called Pawns in the Game from 1955. And Carr's entire deal, the thing he's basically builds the whole modern American conspiracy universe on top of is the Illuminati, of course.
We're different than those guys.
Yeah, we love them. His claim is that there's this ancient secret society quietly running everything, both sides of every war, communism and capitalism, all of it at once, hidden, and there's a hidden hand steering the entire planet toward a single one world government. And there's a folklorist who studied this stuff who called Carr just about the single most influential source there is for the entire American Illuminati mythology. Comes from this guy. And Monast loved this guy. Like Carr, and just to like give you an idea of how Carr worked, because it kind of tells you everything about like what Monast plugged himself into. One of Carr's all-time biggest smoking guns was a letter he said had been written back in 1871, laying out a detailed master plan for 3 future world wars, which was very specific and spooky. Even gets quoted to this day. But there's a problem. It's fucking fake. There's no letter. It never fucking existed. The British Museum, which Carr claimed was holding it, came right out and said on the record in writing, we have never had that document. It is not there. It never was. And Carr, cornered, actually had to admit it and tucked away, admitted it, but he had admitted it, tucked away in a fucking footnote. Like he admitted it was fake in a place in a way that like most people didn't realize. Like he was
which,
too
by the
ashamed.
way, was fake.
Yeah, which too ashamed to be like, he got called out by the Smithsonian, the British Museum rather, and he was just like, well, fuck. So the foundational smoking gun of this whole tradition is a forgery that its own biggest promoter quietly copped to making up in a fucking footnote that nobody knew or read about. So it caught fire. This is why this shit drives me crazy, and I call the people who believe Project Bluebeam dumb. But it's gonna like that kind of like level of stupidity. It's gonna keep happening. Now here's the part that we don't get to skip past either, because it's the root of the thing. So when Carr talks about this secret hidden hand running the world, the quote unquote international bankers, the ancient cabal pulling every string. Yeah, we're gonna get into it. It's not sounding good on purpose. He is pulling directly from a piece of straight up anti-Semitic propaganda. The whole Illuminati runs the world story that Carr was putting out there and selling, and that Monast then swallowed wholesale, is downstream of the oldest and ugliest conspiracy theory on earth. The lie that says a secret Jewish cabal secretly controls global money and government. That's the documented lineage of this stuff. Plain and fucking simple. The forged texts Carr built his career on are laced through with this shit. And Monast took all of it, the machinery and the anti-Semitic poison sitting underneath this thing and ran. In fact, 1 year after Bluebeam, Manass sits down and writes his own knockoff version of that exact piece of anti-Semitic propaganda, files the serial numbers off, and gives it a brand new name. And we're going to come back to this, but like,
is one of the serial numbers that it's Jews, or is it like that it's just general hatred?
Yeah, what I'm saying is he's stealing somebody's work, pretending it's not his.
Is his also anti-Semitic? Or
yes,
is his
it's
just
all
like,
it's all laced through. Once like you can't get out of it. Once like you realize that's where it's come from, that's where you can't get out of it. You just can't get away from it.
Crazy.
But I just want to like put that there because we're going to talk about that in a little bit. There's also a money angle that's still worth a quick mention here too. Manass ran close to a Quebec political movement called Social Credit, which was this whole monetary conspiracy scene fixated on the idea that shadowy international bankers were secretly rigging the entire economy. And I want to obviously be very careful here, but fair, because the actual record only ever puts Manass near that world, but he wasn't like a card-carrying member within the Social Credit political movement.
Also, to be clear, I feel like we need to be fair in that it doesn't require international people to run up the game and screw everyone. People at home can do that. You have your very own oligarchs, homebred, American,
Dude,
Canadian.
I live in a state that they completely whine and bitch about everything else, and then they go vote against their own interests and blame everybody else.
No, it's not an international cabal of bankers. It's here at home, guys.
It's here at home.
We did it. We're number one. We're number one. We did it.
USA.
It's a national cabal.
It's a national cabal
of bankers.
Exactly.
It's a national cabal of rich Christians. Sorry, guys.
Epstein Island, dude. Epstein Island. So this money angle is worth mentioning because but like while he wasn't part of that political movement, you can still kind of see the fingerprints all over him. That fixation on like a secret financial elite controlling everything through money, the slow creep toward a cashless, totally tracked economy. Remember, Manass wrote that into his plan.
By the way,
the exact flavor Social Credit was using.
For people to flip on their conspiracy theories, remember when everyone was like, a cashless society is how they control us, and it's going to be the worst future. Anyway, all those people love crypto now.
Yeah, because they're God and Savior. Elon Musk said it's awesome, so they just don't have to think because Elon Musk said it.
It's almost like none of the richest guys.
People can't separate being rich and being smart. Like it's hard for people.
Well, how else would
he get rich if you're not smart?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. His dad wasn't already super rich, and there wasn't a lineage of money that goes through.
You're just jealous.
He just got a small loan.
That's what the international bankers want you to think.
That's right. You're right.
You wish.
We got Bergeron gave him the Antichrist, and Carr gave him the Illuminati. So he's got his ending and he's got his villains, but there's still the missing piece, obviously the light show. And that, ladies and gentlemen, we have to talk about Star Trek. This is where this all comes from. Special effects. It's like my favorite piece by a country fucking mile because it is so goddamn funny. So here's the thing you have to keep in mind. Bergeron and Carr, those guys had hand Manassed, all that other shit. They do not give him holograms. They don't give him satellites beaming 3D Jesus into the sky. The answer is right there back in the mid-1970s with the man named Gene Roddenberry, the guy who created Star Trek and wrote a script for a Star Trek movie that never ended up getting made. And that movie was called The God Thing. Do you know anything about this non-made movie? It exists. It's out there.
I don't, but there is a Star Trek movie about God, right?
5, right? Jesse,
Yeah.
Star Trek 5?
Yeah, that's literally Star Trek 5.
So,
yeah.
The Undiscovered Country?
No,
right?
that's 6. Star Trek 5
Oh my God.
is oh my God, what is that?
that's not the whales,
Voyage.
No,
The Voyage Home.
Star Trek 5 is Final
God
Frontier.
in space.
right? Final Frontier, gotcha.
I said it earlier and I couldn't remember.
This unmade Star Trek movie from Gene Roddenberry called The God Thing kind of just goes like this. The Enterprise runs into this hugely powerful entity way out in space that claims to be God.
Yep.
And it's heading straight for Earth. And it sends down a probe that takes on human forms, including the form of Jesus. And the big twist is that this god is actually a broken down alien machine. And one of the writers on it later summed the entire plot up as, I quote, God was a malfunctioning spaceship. That was the plot.
Of 5?
This is the unmade Star Trek movie called The God Thing that he came across.
Okay.
This is before 5. This is like,
I mean,
I'm
it's
sure
kind of similar to 5, but not
it.
really. Yeah, okay, yeah.
No, this is the God thing. This is so much closer to Project Bluebeam.
Understood.
So basically the plot of it was God was a malfunctioning spaceship, and it doesn't stop there. There's an actual aired episode of Star Trek The Next Generation from 1991 called The Devil's Due. This is a plot that's also important for you to hear about. It is a con artist shows up on a planet pretending to be the literal devil out of their mythology. And how does she sell being an all-powerful supernatural being? She fakes it with technology. She sets off earthquakes on command. She projects giant images of gods and devils into the sky. And Captain Picard beats her by proving the whole show is a hoax and it's holograms, force fields, and a hidden cloaked ship pulling off every single miracle that people see. So now we've got manufactured earthquakes, gods project into the sky, like all exposed as a high-tech con running on a television 3 years before Manast ever even started writing this stuff down. This 3 disparate pieces that all come together rather convincingly. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and be like, Sergei Manast sat down, watched Star Trek, and was like, aha, I'm going to take this and repackage it. And like,
I've done that before.
That movie did come out 5 years before this, though. So
let me tell you, I've done that before.
Yeah, no, never done that.
I don't know if it ever saw print, but I've thought I've had the greatest idea ever after just basically copying it from something I just watched a million times.
Yeah, it happens, you know?
Yeah.
But and obviously, to be totally fair to this guy, there's no evidence. Like, I don't have hard evidence that he was deliberately lying or knowing or ripping off at like Star Trek in any fucking way. But what makes this land so hard is that a big biography of Roddenberry that laid out the whole God thing plot in detail came out in 1994, right around the exact time Manast starts to give lectures about Project Bluebeam. And for me, this is kind of the part that seals it, is that Manast himself, in his own lecture, does point straight at science fiction movies and tells his audience they were psychological preparation. So that stuff like 2001, A Space Odyssey was getting humanity softened up and ready for the coming deception. So by his own admission, he's obviously watching and taking in sci-fi content. So it's not that far of a jump that he was taking in Star Trek as well. Then there's one little name I did mention at the beginning of this that I haven't covered yet, the last little seed. This one happened in 1987. President Ronald Reagan, standing at the podium of the United Nations in front of the entire world, and said this, and I'm quoting him exactly word for word, quote, do you want to give like your own Nixon impression? It's one sentence.
Faciane has a Reagan. He should do this.
It's just one sentence.
Wait, is it Reagan or is it Nixon?
Reagan. Did I say Nixon
Reagan.
accidentally? It's Ronald Reagan, not Nixon.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
And that's Manast ran with that.
Ozymandias.
Like the fact that
Watchmen.
Exactly. For Manast, having a sitting president of the U.S. out loud at the UN, kind of daydreaming that a threat from the outer space would unite all of humanity under one banner. This is a guy who's primed to believe all of that shit anyway. So of course he runs with it in step 4 of Project Bluebeam with the fake alien invasion that's meant to scare everybody into uniting. So that's the whole recipe right there. That is where Project Bluebeam comes from. All of this the Antichrist out of his church and out of Rene Bergeron, the secret world running cabal out of William Guy Carr, Poison and all of the anti-Semitic stuff, and the holographic space Jesus and fake alien invasion, all that shit comes out of Star Trek. And then the one stray line from Ronald Reagan's speech is all it took for the soup to be built. So the last thing we're going to talk about for this episode, who was fucking Sergei Manast himself. And when I started digging, the part I did not see coming is like, but if you met this
He's
guy,
Banksy.
if you had met this guy in, say, 1978, I don't think anyone would have looked at him and gone, ah, yes, this is the man who will come up with the prophet of the holographic Antichrist angle and will come up with all this. You'd have looked at him and gone, he's a writer.
Because is he a big fat guy?
Honestly, I didn't look up a picture of him.
Because you said he died of a heart attack, like on the middle of his floor in his house.
Yeah, we're gonna get all to that. Yeah, he died in 1996. He's a chunky guy. Yep.
All right.
He's a bigger guy.
He may have been prone to a heart attack.
But hold on. I don't know what the future holds for any of us. But I'm just going to send you this one image of him.
Yes.
This guy is
fucking Orson Welles.
This guy. Like he looks like he lived through the I'm old, so I get to be weird now phase of his life.
That's kind of what happened to him.
Paul Masson makes the best wine.
He only lived to 51. He didn't get all that old, but he was a writer. For his entire first stretch of his adult life, Sergei Monast was a legitimate working published author. The man published poetry, actual poetry collections back in the 70s and early 80s. He wrote essays. He wrote a whole book chewing on Quebec identity and character. In the mid 70s, Monast co-wrote a straight kind of sober government commissioned sociological study on the Quebec family for an actual provincial social affairs council. This guy was legitimately doing actual work in this stuff. And it was as far away as fucking NASA as faking Jesus with a sky laser as possible at this point. It's weird where he began and where he went. Sergei did real journalism that real people actually did read. For 15 to 20 years, he was just a fucking guy, a working writer in Eastern Township of Quebec. And then somewhere in there, right around the late 80s, rolling into the early 90s, the man took his turn. Bergeron, we laid it all all this stuff. And he builds his platform for himself out of all the stuff that he pulls from these other people. And he founds this thing he calls the Agence Internationale de Presse Libre, or the International Free Press Agency, which sounds like a real news wire, on its surface. Sounds like routers or Reuters, however you say it.
It's the vibe of one of those writerly whimsical.
Reuters, yeah. So, but it sounds like he's building something in a newsroom somewhere. He's getting started, but there was not any of that being built. As near as anybody can tell, the International Free Press Agency was just one guy in Magog, Quebec, with a fax machine and a mailing list.
Time out. He lived in Magog?
Magog, M-A-G-O-G, Quebec.
As in demagogue?
Oh, shit, dude.
Oh,
you cracked it.
I mean, hold on.
As my favorite villain from Jeff John's Justice Society run.
I must, are you aware that of the biblical connotation of Magog?
No, actually.
Gog and Magog, yeah.
Magog being an apocalyptic symbol of evil and forces opposing
super
God.
Catholic. It maybe makes sense. It's all super Catholic,
right?
But
there.
All of it's super Catholic.
I don't know that if I was super Catholic, I want to go live in Magog. It's just crazy.
True.
This guy's obsessed with the end times and apocalypse and the Antichrist, and literally lives in a place that is team bad guy.
May I? And I don't do this often anymore. But the man maybe chaos magicked himself into he surrounded himself with all this stuff that he ended up living in a place named.
He just turned it into it.
Just he's literally becoming what he thinks is real.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. He was self-publishing, operating under a name that sounded kind of like a real institution, but he was just a one-man wire service reporting live from the end of the world. But a fax newsletter only gets so far. The thing that really put him on the map, and the thing that made him an actual name in Quebec, was television. One show specifically, a show called Esoterisme Experimental. That was way more Spanish sounding than French. I apologize. But this was a weekly show that ran on a community access cable, of course, in Quebec, all the way from 1976 to 1997, hosted by an esotericist and UFO guy named Richard Glenn. It's very
weirdo TV vibes.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. And the show was exactly what it says on the tin, basically. Week after week, they would have on guests to get their UFOs, secret societies, world governments, hidden meanings, tucked behind the world religions, the whole shit out on the table for people. And given everything we just went through last act, one of Glenn's actual signature moves on the show was using big mainstream science fiction movies, Star Wars especially, as teaching tools for his esoteric stuff. So the exact show that made Manast famous, this guy whose whole light show Apocalypse rhymes super hard with Star Trek plot, is all coming together into a big old Project Bluebeam soup. Manast goes on the show and it just fucking works. By the accounts I've got, he comes across as a man totally and completely gripped by one single idea, the coming world government, and audiences remembered him for it. That interview is his launch pad, and it is the moment this guy goes from poet into like weird prophet of this thing. Jesse, were you going to say something? You looked like you were about to say something.
No, I'm just, it's shocking the way that even though he's in Quebec and this is Canadian, how very like American coded it rings.
Oh, absolutely.
But I guess people like this exist everywhere. It doesn't matter your nationality or religion or whatever. There's always going to be someone who's like, don't you see? This goes all the way to the top.
Yep, of course. Well, one dark footnote on the host of the show, because I'm not going to just fucking pretend this dude wasn't a complete piece of shit. In the year 2000, Richard Glenn was convicted of sexually assaulting a minor, a boy, in a case going back to the early 1980s. And he got sentenced to a year in prison. And he spent the years since disputing it on, like, where else would a guy like this dispute it? His own website.
Twitter. I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to say and relitigate a 25-year-old fucking case, but the dude got convicted for assaulting a minor, so go fuck that guy. Yeah, exactly. Of course, because this is another place where those kind of people just hang around. So the last thing we're going to talk about here, back in the genealogy of all this, I told you Manast didn't just inherit all this stuff from an old conspiracy, but he inherited the poison that sits underneath it, the anti-Semitism. In 1995, Sergei Manast published a book called The Toronto Protocols. And to get at what that book actually is, you first have to know about the thing it's copying, because there's a document out there that's called The Protocols
of the Elders of Zion. Is that what you're doing?
Yep. Holy fucking shit. Yes, Jesse. Yep. Exact. But that's, again, I really want to dig into the roots of this shit to show you really the dirty earth this is all coming from. And it's,
don't you see, it's actually all connected, and you're just saying that it's fake because you don't want to believe it, man.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like old. This is like old. That makes it real.
How many of these people actually did the reading and the research and didn't just listen to a podcast? Because there's like, so yes, we're going to talk about very briefly here the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. And it is, if you don't know what this is, the most infamous and destructive piece of anti-Semitic propaganda ever put on paper. It first turns up in Russia around 1903, and it presents itself as the secret leaked minutes of a meeting of Jewish leaders sitting around a table, calmly plotting how they're going to take over the whole world, seize the banks, seize the presses, the government, and it is a total and complete fabrication. It got made up. It got cooked up, most likely by the Tsar's secret police, and big chunks of it were straight up plagiarized, basically word from word, out of an old French political satire that had absolutely nothing to do with Jewish people in the first place at all. Like, it's so obviously and painfully fucking fake that people, like, again, I don't know how people believe. I have a personal problem with people who I feel like can't critically think and take like a step. And if you like a question raises in your mind, I wonder where that came from. And instead of doing any research, you just trust the person who tells you. If you don't believe me, go do the research. Please, I beg of you, spend a couple hours and go do some basic reading. Because like, it's so painfully, obviously a proven hoax. It got publicly and definitively exposed as a forgery, a proven hoax by a reporter at the Times of London, all the way back in 1921. And it did
it's less of
matter.
A real thing that matters and more of it reaffirms a person's worldview and thus.
That's all it makes you feel good.
Right.
And that's all it takes. That forgery went on to become one of the engines of an entire century of anti-Semitic violence. The Nazis handed it out. Yeah, they handed it out. It is still in circulation right now, today, 2026. That is the document Sergei Manas sat down and rewrote. His Toronto Protocols runs the exact same playbook, same format. It claims to be the leaked secret minutes of a cabal of the most powerful people on the planet gathered in Toronto, coldly spelling out their plan to grab the world and stand up in the new world order. He literally kept the whole fucking outline. The leaked minutes gimmick, we the conspirators shall now reveal our evil master plan voice, the whole blueprint for the global takeover, all of it is just lifted wholesale off of the Elders of Zion protocols. He changed exactly one thing. Where the original names, the Elders of Zion, where it names the Jews, Manas gets rid of that, files his own version of it, and the group he rebrands as the group 666. The 6 biggest banks, the 6 biggest companies, and the 6 biggest food companies, and for good measure, the Freemasons.
I love the 6 biggest banks, which are companies, the 6 biggest companies, which are companies, the 6 biggest food companies,
which are companies.
The second one was 6 biggest energy companies. Sorry.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and then fourth one, the Freemasons. They're there. They're always there.
Sure.
For whatever reason. I don't understand.
I buy that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Basically just getting rid of the word Jewish off of the protocols of the Elders of Zion does not make it stop being the protocols of the Elders of Zion. I just want to make that very fucking clear. This man reached for the single most notorious anti-Semitic hoax in all of human history and was just like, well, if I just change that name to that name, now it's the protocols of Toronto. It's not anti-Semitic anymore. We're clean. Makes no sense. It's annoying. And so when you're a conspiracy guy, as we approach the end of his life, after this is all reprinted and he gets all those books out, how you die ends up mattering, honestly, almost about as much as anything you ever said while you were still alive.
Sci-fi novel.
Right. Like how this guy dies, and it's going to be the same with Bill Cooper when we talk about Bill Cooper. The way they die is part of the lore of it all. It almost serves as a separate piece of evidence for the believers in this stuff. Because if this guy died quietly, imagine if this guy wrote all this stuff and then he died quietly in his sleep at age 95, and that's the end of it. Nobody writes a legend about that. If you suddenly go right in the middle of your crusade, right after you spent years telling everybody the powerful people you want gone, congratulations. You become a martyr almost instantaneously that way. And a martyr's story, unfortunately, doesn't die. It just goes to fucking work and begins to spread. So Sergei Manas' death is really 2 totally different stories. There's the one the coroner wrote down, and there's the one his followers will tell you to this very fucking day actually happened. And the gap between the 2 stories is again, much like Project Bluebeam, it's the butt crack in which the belief festers. It is where it is the unbelievable and the believable unable to come to terms and where the believers sit. So first, the record. And this is the boring, sad, documented truth of what happened with the one with an actual coroner's name attached to it. December 5th, 1996. A Quebec coroner named George Giguère lays out Sergei Manas' last day, and it is about as ordinary as a last day fucking gets. Around 4 p.m, Manas calls his partner from a shopping mall over in Sherbrooke, tells her he's not feeling so good. He's sweating, says he's going to wait a little while before he drives home. He finally gets home around 7:45 that night, and a few minutes later, after he's through the door, he collapses. He goes down right there on the floor in front of his partner and a neighbor who also happened to be there at the time. The ambulance comes, runs him over to the hospital in Lac-Mégantic, and he's pronounced dead at 9:00. Cause of death, heart attack. They did an autopsy, and the autopsy found out exactly why he had a fucking heart attack. Sergei Monast had severe heart disease, badly clogged arteries. One of the main arteries feeding his heart, the coroner clocked it at about 90% blocked.
Dude.
90%. So what you have in front of you medically for this coroner is a 51-year-old man under a crushing amount of stress, flat broke, walking around with arteries to his heart almost completely closed off and very unhealthy and wait. And one December evening, his heart just quits. You could hand that autopsy to any doctor alive with the name scratched off, and they would not so much as raise an eyebrow and be like, yeah, no wonder he fucking died of a heart attack. Like, it's no conspiracy. That's the truth. But there's still the story version. Because Sergei Monast's followers will tell you flat out that none of that is what really happened. They will tell you that he was assassinated, murdered, and silenced by the exact people he was busy exposing. And the method they say got used on him is a directed energy weapon, a device that beams a signal at a person and it just stops the heart. An artificially triggered heart attack.
Okay.
What? That's hard. Is that hard for you to believe?
No, it's the Canadian government. Dude,
no.
The Canadians, they're pure evil, as we all know.
Yeah. It's not that it's hard for me to believe. It's just like everything is just, there's always like some technology somewhere in a story that's like, and then there was no trace.
And the thing is Monast covered himself with this because it's like word for word almost a piece of the kind of technology he was talking about in Bluebeam with the stuff that would vibrate, the beam weapons that would vibrate messages into your head or shit like that. Like, so he kind of authored a whole theory about how this could happen. And then he gets killed. So of course the people who believed him are going to think that that's the reason and not that he was a genuinely unhealthy individual. Right? Like it's crazy. They'll tell you that Monast had zero history of heart trouble, perfectly healthy. They'll also tell you the state had already rolled in and seized his kids to punish him and shut him up.
Oh my God. Wait a minute. Their takeaway is terrible parent. The state did that to shut him up.
Yeah. Yes. They were doing it to like torture him and ruin his life.
Right.
That's so weird. Right.
Yeah. They're also going to tell you that the day before he died, Sergei got arrested and he spent the last night of his life sitting in a jail cell. And then he went home and dropped dead the very next day, almost like something got done to him while he was in that prison cell, which is, don't get me wrong, fucking hell of a story. But let's go see where that comes from. That entire assassination story, the arrest, the night in the cell, dead next morning, all of it traces back to basically one single source, a single newsletter, and it's called The Dispatch. And it was an end times Christian newsletter being cranked out of Queensland, Australia, of all places on earth, back in late 1996. That's where the story the believers believe comes from. And when you actually pull that thread and pull the newsletter up and read the thing for yourself, which you can and you should go do if you are interested, it doesn't just fail to hold up. It fucking came apart like trying to hold water in my goddamn hands. The simplest fact to start with is that the newsletter says Sergei Monast was 46 years old when he died. He fucking wasn't. He was 51. They whiffed his age by 6 years or 5 years immediately, which is not a great start for a document that's getting treated as the gospel for this man's death. But it gets better because the same newsletter in the same single issue actually prints two different accounts of his fucking death. Right there.
In the same paper?
In the same paper, the same newsletter, next to each other, like near each other, and they contradict one another. The first one hands you the version everybody remembers, which is the arrest, night in jail, dead the next day, nonsense. But then you go down a little, and there's a second write-up, a memorial notice from a totally different guy, a man over in Illinois. And his version says something completely different. His version says Monast collapsed and died in his wife's arms right after he got home, which, hey, funny thing, lines up with what the coroner fucking said perfectly. And on the whole arrest angle, The second account says Sergei was never jailed or held at all. It says he and his son got picked up back in September, months before, and that because Sergei was a known public figure, they let him go, and it was the son who ended up in foster care. No final night in a cell, no dead the next morning, nonsense. So inside this one newsletter where this thing originates from, we have two goddamn stories that just contradict each other. The second write-up, the memorial one, comes right out and says the official coroner's report confirmed he died of severe coronary as well. The fringe source itself admits the coroner found a heart attack. And then the newsletter's own editor reads all of that, the contradiction, all of it, and writes, and I'm barely paraphrasing, but like he goes on saying, quote, don't go thinking he died in his wife's arms means the man wasn't murdered. Just go ahead and decide he was murdered anyway. What? The little author's like, just
go ahead and decide he was murdered anyway.
He's like, make up your own truth. It's fine.
I know I don't have the facts here, but you know what? Why don't you just go ahead and believe it?
Yeah, I'm just gonna give you both stories, and why don't you go ahead and decide he was murdered anyway? That newsletter is the whole origination point for the assassination legend that grew up, that kind of grew out of one newsletter from fucking Australia where it printed his age wrong and carrying two stories is that's where it all fucking came from. And that whole no history of heart problems line, the 90% blocked artery they found in the autopsy would like a fucking word with you. Like, what are you talking about? You don't have no heart problems and then have a 90% blocked artery in your goddamn heart.
Remember how during COVID, they were all like, well, if we stop testing for COVID, then we won't have any cases. Like, maybe he just didn't go to the doctor. That's why he has no history. You know what I mean? Like, if there's no testing done, then you have no history, technically.
Exactly correct. Exactly how I think how it went too. So why did this story stick? Like, I want to analyze this for a second. It stuck because it was in a way that can only be for conspiracy theories. It stuck because it was fucking too perfect. Monast built himself an entire worldview where the enemy kills people by giving them heart attacks. And then Monast got a heart attack. If you already believe the man, you did not process that as a sad coincidence. You processed it as the universe handing you proof that he was right about everything. His death, and like, again, even if you want to take that, why would the government not kill him in another way? Like, if they knew he wrote this, like,
it's
weaponry,
exactly the same. It's exactly the same thing where it's like, why make that lore choice when you have so many other options? Why commit to this reality when you could have done something way cleaner?
Yeah. Because like when you peel all this back at the end of the day, like Sergei was kind of a tragic man by the end of his life, right? Like he was being eaten alive by his own paranoia because he believed a lot of his own bullshit, if not all of his bullshit, because he believed the people he was pulling it all from. He was also dead broke. The same newsletter says he had $14 on him when he died, and like whatever that source is worth, it wasn't a picture of a man living large either way. And he was walking around at 51 with a heart that was ready to fail on him at any given fucking day. And one December night, he just came home and just had a heart attack and died. And that's it. And the thing that outlives him is his legend. So there's your whole picture of Project Bluebeam, of the guy who created it, the origination source. Guy was a poet, a journalist. He was a father. He was also a man somewhere in his like 40s and 50s that walked straight out of the ordinary world of being a journalist and right into the conspiracy apocalypse world he built around himself. And when he died at 51 years old in 1996, it was only the beginning of Project Bluebeam becoming a mainstay in conspiracy circles to this day. But I beg you, if you ever see out there Project Bluebeam and you have an inkling to believe it for a second, do some research, do some reading. It's crazy which of these conspiracy theories you can literally find the source of and pull up and read why, as convincing as all this may be, none of it is real. It's all coincidence, and technology is just growing as it has.
God, that's depressing and frustrating. Yeah. It's depressing and frustrating. Yeah,
it is. That's why I wanted to do it, because the Project Bluebeam stuff, especially with how heavily the conspiracy heads are running with it, and nobody really like addressing that this is like This is like, you can trace this. It's frustrating. So I wanted for a long time to do an episode on it, and like, let's just fucking crack this thing open. Let's look at it bare in the essentials and laugh at how absurd it is, but how easily and quickly in an age of social media, misinformation, and people who just think anybody who's sitting behind a microphone is intelligent or informed, including us, will just listen to us. So if you don't believe us,
no one listen to this thinks that. Let's be clear.
No, I try to be as scary and misinformational as possible while telling you as much truth as I can.
Yeah, yes, you do. It's great. Like I beg you, if you still like don't believe, you think I'm part, go do the research. You can find all of the stuff. The sources are not that hard to find if you know where you're looking. And like, look at this shit. It's crazy.
Be like, guys, I'm not part of the cabal of the government trying to psyop you. You of all people. That's the funniest shit I've like. That's how out there some people are.
Yeah, I guess. Like, I feel like if I was part of the cabal, I wouldn't be doing this episode.
Or would you?
That's true. That's true. Shit. I just wish the CIA paid better.
Right? You know,
that's the issue. Is they just
the Illuminati does not pay. They assume you're going to have money when you get in, and when you don't, it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, that is a bummer.
It is a bummer. They're like, our secret meeting is happening in Barbados. Like, bro, I don't have Barbados money.
No. And and Alex had to rent with his own money the pneumatic tube device.
Yeah,
they don't even give you this stuff.
This is all like, you know, I would call it ramshackle. Like, it's ancient, it's storied, but it's never been rich.
Yeah, exactly. So, boys, so how do you feel? That's the end of Project Bluebeam. Final thoughts. Do you think it's real?
No.
Just fucking with you.
I would like to see Sky Jesus,
stupid.
Though. Like,
that'd be crazy.
The size of the sky, I just conceptually don't even know what that would look like.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd see his nostril.
I feel like it's easy to let your zealot brain hear this kind of information and go like, no, but it doesn't matter how I got the story. Like, the truth of it is what matters.
God wills it.
The lineage of the story doesn't matter, but it's like, yo, no, it does matter. Like, that's why you feel weird right now. That's why your body is like making your denial, like you're doubling down in a weird way, because it isn't true. But that's why we learn this stuff. It's like, you can't just pick anything that you want to be true and make it true just by deciding to believe it. That is not actually a thing. That's like a huge misconception about existing and living and thinking. So eat my shorts.
Eat my shorts. And on that, thank you all so much for listening. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. We're off to go to a mini-sode over at patreon.com/Chilluminati pod.
Oh, yeah.
We appreciate you. We love you. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Babar.